Joe here, your reliability man, bridging the gap between best practices and your reality. Today's lean-driven reliability topic of the day is really a word of the day: anticipate. Anticipate. We're going to talk a little bit about planners. There are three primary roles of a planner, and you can see them on the board behind me. They propose and plan work for the coming weeks. They anticipate and countermeasure wrench time detractors, and they improve. Are we better on Friday than we were on Monday? Mainstream training of best practices only focus on planning and next week's work, 3 weeks out, 5 weeks out work. They focus on the tools, the CMS system, how to conduct a planning meeting, how to make a work pack, how to order parts, how to manage backlog. All those things are in step one. And that's almost all the training you can find. If you look online, if you look at in the mainstream of best practices, that's what they train. The bottom two are missing in action. And I'm going to talk to you about number two only, that is anticipate. The supervisor and craftspeople know, if you interview them, talk to them, they know that the whole tone of the day is set by the planner. The whole tone of how efficient it's going to go, how effective it's going to go, how good their day is going to go is set by the planner. But nobody's teaching it. Nobody's teaching it. Anticipate. Okay. So on the subject of anticipation, planners need to verify parts are correct. Just because you ordered pump 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and it comes in doesn't mean it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sometimes it can be slightly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5A, and it's got the wrong base mounting. Sometimes it's got the wrong shaft. I've had this happen to me where we ordered the exact same part, got the exact same part number, but since it was something we haven't ordered in 10 years, it had the wrong faceplate. And we had to make a new, our mounting plate, we had to make a new one in the machine shop. Lost about 8 hours on that job. One example also that I had was the pump didn't have a keyway cut in it, in the shaft. So we installed the new pump on took out the old pump on Saturday all day long, put the new one in on Sunday, found out it didn't have the right, didn't have a keyway in it, put the old one back in across the weekend on overtime. Real example. Another thing to anticipate wrench time issues is full job kitting. You've heard me talk about this a dozen times. Crews, they're supposed to install a pump. I love using a pump example for some reason. And they're supposed to find a coupling in the shop, and their shop doesn't have one. So they go to another shop, they go to another shop, they go to another shop. They order one expedited in from a local vendor. Hours and hours lost, sometimes days. Go to the job site. Do planners go to the job site and make sure nothing has changed? No obstacles have been put in the area. Sometimes a work area, somebody will park a big vehicle there. Then you got to find the right person with the keys to it. Sometimes, one of my extreme examples, somebody moved in a mobile office and planted it there with a fence around it. And that was the work site, and it was done a couple months before. There's no way the planner went out to the job site and looked for things that could potentially cause a wrench time issue. The fourth thing a planner is supposed to do to anticipate wrench time is look for connection issues with production. How's that handoff from production to maintenance look, and production or maintenance back to production between crafts, between mechanical and electrical, between a mechanical and a contractor? What potential issues could there be? An example of that, one of them that I had was production was assigned to clean in an area where maintenance was supposed to work. Production was already working in there. They had just a big mess there. And then there's an argument for, an hour on who's supposed to do what, and people unlock, new people lock out. It's just chaos. That should have been anticipated. I think I'm on number 5, start of shift issues. This is a big one. Safety, I'll use an example. Safety came out with a new rule that lockout, tagout, verify forms could not be printed out in advance on the work pack. That was a safety rule. Well, they put a printer in the maintenance shop, And at the start of the shift, there was a line 10 people deep waiting to look up their lockout tagout procedure and print it out. You end up with software issues, you end up with printer issues. The last crew to get their lockout tagout procedure was 2 hours into the shift. 2 hours into the shift. Hey, you got to surface that stuff. You got to anticipate that stuff. Last one I got, just miscellaneous, miscellaneous category. I've talked enough about a galvanized bucket. Hey, how are you going to handle small parts on a job? Anticipate that they could lose a small part. Put a galvanized bucket on it. Anticipate they're going to have oil spillage on the floor. Provide, shop towels or some fabric to put down so that they don't slip and don't have to go looking for it. Anticipation. If it's extremely hot, what about putting a water jug out there? Put some Gatorade out there. Anticipate those heat issues. What about a fan? Special tools, if they need a torque wrench or a come along, hours and hours and hours. These are just little things, but if you've got your target is 50% wrench time, which is only 4 hours in a shift, which is excellent wrench time. 50% is excellent wrench time. If you start knocking an hour off here, an hour and a half there, hour and a half, you're killing the tone of the job. So some organizations, and so those are the 6 things I listed that a planner is supposed to be doing. Some organizations, and I won't mention who, they take great pride in that their planners, they can find somebody from a retail like Walmart and train them in 3 weeks to be a planner. They train them on step 1. They don't train them on anticipating and how to improve. They don't train them on that. And that's a glaring problem in the industry that I'm trying to correct with lean-driven reliability. A full planner performs all 3 of these functions, and they can multiply. I've seen them multiply the effectiveness of a crew by 2. That means take their wrench time from 15% to 30%. I've seen that with an effective planner. So your lean-driven reliability task for the week. These are, again, I like to give real simple ones for you so you're aware of a problem. Check the shoes being worn by your planners at 9:30 in the morning. Okay? Well, that's a crazy one, Joe. That's a quick test of their behavior. Are they what we call a tennis shoe planner? Do they manage from the office, or are they out in the environment working with people, looking at the work parts, looking at the work scene, and anticipating what can go wrong? You do not want tennis shoe planners. Check their footwear and see if they, in the first 2 or 3 hours of the day, they have been out on the shop floor. That's number 1. While you're looking at their shoes, number 2, ask the planner who owns wrench time. Who owns the efficiency of the crew? I've been to 31 plants, and I have not gotten a correct answer yet in my first meeting with a plant. So look at their shoes, number 1. Number 2, ask them who owns wrench time. Yes, you can argue that the supervisor does own wrench time, but the hand they're dealt, the cards that they have in front of them, are established by the planner. So the planner owns at least 50%. I'll say the planner owns about 80% of the wrench time of the crew. If they set them up right, give them no excuses to go back to the shop, they anticipate problems, 80% of it's owned by them, 20% by the supervisor. You can obviously do all this work yourself. These are pretty simple techniques. But if you'd like some pointers, please reach out to me in the comments or in the attached email. Or you can contact me directly to do some full-time consulting at your site. Love that opportunity. But again, I realize 99.9% of the people watching this video are just going to employ these techniques, and nothing gives me more pride than being able to help someone. So final comments, hey, if you like what you're seeing, hit the like button. If you don't like what you're hearing or seeing, hit the dislike button. Also, hit that subscribe button so my videos pop up in front of you whenever I put a new one out. Thank you.